Yo, 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 yo. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, wherever you're at. We are moving into now section 4.2, example number 1, talking about polynomials. Really nerdy word here, but we'll get to it and we'll make it very, very easy to understand here. All right, so what we're going to do is that we're going to write each polynomial, and this whole bad boy is called a polynomial, in descending powers of variable. And we're going to talk about what that means here. Then give the leading term and the leading coefficient. Okay, so before we start cracking down on this right here, first of all, when we talk about what is a polynomial, in simplest terms here, a polynomial is really anything that has more than like one term. And so just a little doodling over here, like if I had 1 plus x, we can call that a polynomial, or x plus b plus c. This can be considered a polynomial. Okay, this basically means more than one term. Now, if it has 2 terms, there's a very specific math term for it. This is called a binomial. If it has 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. But when you see the word polynomial, it just basically means something that has many terms. Okay, it's many terms, more than one. And if it had like one term, like 5, or let's just say like a, it's called a monomial. Mono is 1. So there's like monomials, but all of these right here are going to be polynomials. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds. Just let you know that, you know, what is this talking about when it says polynomials. Okay, so basically we're going to take all of these terms, and that's what we call it. This is a term. This is a term, 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 and a term. And what we need to do is we want to write it in descending by its powers. And so check this out right here. Okay, every variable has a power. See, this is the power. So the power of this term is 3. The power of this whole term is 5. The power of this term is 2. You say, hey, but what about the power of this? Well, I'm going to go and do this in a different color. The power of this term, that's bad. I probably shouldn't do it in that color. The power of this one is 0. Well, how do you know? Well, because x to the power of 0, this is just nothing, or like it's 1 really, right? Anything to the power of 0 is 1, so I'm not changing the problem. I'm just changing the way it looks, just so that we can see that everything has a power. 3, 5, 2, 0, and then what's the power of this one? Well, it's going to be 1. Everything has a power of 1 if there's nothing there. Okay, and then this one, because there is no variable there, you would do x to the power of 0. So now basically all they're saying is write them in descending order by its power. So just start with the biggest one, 5, and then there's no 4, and then 3, then 2, then 1, then 0. So basically it's going to write like this. 2x to the power of 5 is the largest power, and then next would be minus 2x cubed, and then plus 4x squared minus x plus 7. This is written in descending order by powers, right? See how it's 5, 3, 2, there's a 1 right here, and then if you want to call this x to the power of 0, you can, but this is what the problem is asking us to do. And then give the leading term. The leading term is always the one that has the highest power. Okay, so this would here be our leading term right here. So our leading term is going to be that, negative 2x to the power of 5. And it's the whole thing. And by the way, what separates terms, what separates this term from that term, from this term, and so forth, is either a plus or a minus sign. Okay, so that's why we don't say negative 2 and then x cubed are 2 separate terms. No, 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 no. No. What makes something, or what separates terms, are either addition or subtraction signs. Okay, so that's why we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate terms. But we don't call this right here 2 terms just because they're next to each other. This is multiplication, which is fine. But it's when you add or subtract, you have separate terms. Okay, and then and what is the leading coefficient? Well, what you do is you take your leading term and you say, what is the number next to the variable? So that's going to be that right there. So the leading coefficient, is going to be negative 2. It's the variable, it's the basically the number that's in front of the variable, and we call that a coefficient right there. Okay, so in review again, A polynomial is things that has many terms. 7 plus x plus y plus z. This is a polynomial. It means more than one. But if I had 10, that's not a polynomial. That's called a monomial. Okay. If it has two terms, x plus 2y, that's also called a polynomial. But you can even dig down deeper, and you can call this also a binomial. But for the sake of this example, we're only looking at what are polynomials is anything that has more than one term.